Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. So, I guess World War III is on. I saw it on the computer screen. I saw it on my phone. Bombs are dropping. The world is ending. Everything's over. We're all going to die. Shrieking, weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth. It's on. You know? Finally. Again, I mean. It's on again. For like the 20th time in my life. You know, it's kind of, I guess it's not surprising to see people shrieking in terror about, you know, bombing things in Iran, as if this was like, I mean, it's not new. I remember walking to school when I was in 4th grade, singing "Bomb, Bomb, 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 Iran," you know. Junior high, the Iranian hostages, Jimmy Carter crashing the helicopters to try to save them. Oh God, that was pathetic, you know. So this is nothing new. And like I've mentioned here before numerous times, I was raised on a steady diet of Armageddonism. You know, the end of the world was always near. And don't get me wrong, I sometimes think about it. I sometimes think, because, you know, I've turned it off in my brain and I go, oh gosh, it's Chicken Little forever, you know? And life goes on. But, you know, you see things and you just go, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. Maybe the prophecies are true. But the problem is that they're not really prophecies if you're intentionally fulfilling them. You know, for me, a prophecy is when you say something like, tomorrow, the earth will turn inside out and we will all be swimming in lava. You know, and then it happens and we're alive to go, wow, we're in the lava. Or a prophecy is like, all the clouds will totally disappear forever. Or, you know, not something that's a grocery list. You can't prophesy. I always get screwed up. Prophesy. That's a word, right? Yeah. Prophesize. You can't profess. How about that? To, you know, a family of 10 will die on the 12th of November, 1984, and then you go kill them on 1980. That's not a prophecy. That's just a list. That's a grocery list that you made happen. You know, so when I see people fulfilling Bible prophecies, I'm going, but yeah, you've got your thumb on the scale. You're doing it. It's not a magic trick. I see you doing it. You're looking at the Bible, you're finding the prophecies that you like, and then you're doing something to fulfill them. You know, you got your little chosen tribe, and God says that, so you behave in that fashion. It's an instruction manual for you. It's not a magical prophecy. If you're doing it, stop doing it, okay? If you don't want the prophecies to come true, all you got to do is stop fulfilling them, okay? But you can't seem to get people to think that. You know, people my age remember ducking under our desks, and we remember the Cold War and seeing all the films of Hiroshima, however you say it, you know, and the bombs, and oh geez, that shit scared the fuck out of me, you know. But as time goes on, you know, you notice, well, actually, you know, let's say, okay, so it did happen in Hiroshima, and only one bomb, and then Nagasaki, and then they tested some out in the desert, and some people got some cancer or whatever. Scary shit, but long time has gone by since that. 1944, was that what it was? That's a long time. Long time. Seems like people want to get long more than they seem like, you know? Oh, but America, they just bombed you. What the fuck, dude? They just bombed. They just fucking bombed Iran. Fucking, we're fucking fighting fucking Israel's wars. Look, I'm no fan of fighting Israel's wars at all. I don't like Israel. I don't like Islam. I don't like Iran. And I've got Iranian friends that I like just fine, but I don't like the mullahs. I don't like the people who are in charge. I don't like Bibi Netanyahu. Fuck that guy, you know? But what am I going to do? It's weird. A number of people are just asking me. There's this one guy that I know that I like. He's a nice guy. He's a lawyer, and I think he likes Trump, but he seems to be really excited to find ways to hate him. And he seems to be really excited to get me to hate him. Like anytime Trump does something that's not cool in his book, he makes sure to inbox me. You see it? And I know that he's expecting me to defend Trump. And oftentimes I do, but it's not because I'm defending Trump. It's just because I look at things realistically. Did people expect Trump to just come into office and suddenly totally upend all the relationships that we've had with countries in the Middle East, including Israel? Like it's just going to change. Oh, everything's changed now. Israel's our enemy now. We're not going to cooperate with them. We're not going to do anything. We're not entangled with them at all. What do you think he's going to do? He's just going to ignore Congress. He's going to ignore all the rhino senators that it could impeach him. Look at Lindsey Graham prancing around like a fruitcake everywhere. He's doing it because he can, because he knows that there's nothing really Trump can do about it. For most of these things, Trump needs Congress. And the margin is so slim that any one guy can bounce around and say, I'm the deciding vote. And that's the confidence you see out of Lindsey Graham, fucking fruitcake. He knows that he can do that shit. He knows he can vote our money away. He knows, and to think that Trump can just go in there and clean house. You can't fire a bunch of senators. That's not how the presidency works. Would be kind of cool, maybe. If our guy did it, if my guy did it, wouldn't be cool if the other guy did it. But that's not how it works, Old entanglements got to keep going. This isn't a new thing. Trump isn't the same. He's not the same as Bush. He's not surrounded by the same people. He's not a neocon. He's not with Wolfowitz. Anyway, I'm not worried about it. About, I don't know, a few years ago, I think it was during the lockdowns, during the communist, globalist drug cartel takeover, I had this dream, and it was this really pleasant dream. I met some woman, just, casual. I met her outside on the street, and we just started talking. We went on a walk. Went to her place. She had this nice balcony that kind of overlooked San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was really beautiful. And we were just sitting on her balcony, just having a nice talk. Nothing amazing about the dream, just a pleasant, like, oh, who's this new person? This lovely, nice person, and we're having a nice talk, and we're laughing and enjoying life, enjoying a beautiful view, and just kind of cheesy, really. And it was just sunset, some clouds in the sky. And all of a sudden, out through like a hole in the clouds, we see some bombs. It's like, wait, what's going on? What the fuck? And just bombs started dropping all over the bay. you know? And this missile came down. I saw it way over by the Golden Gate Bridge. And then it turned and it started heading directly for me at, missile speed. And I had just a second or two to think, oh, I'm going to die now. And it didn't bother me at all. I wasn't bothered. I just sat there and watched it coming towards me, thinking this is going to be interesting. I'm going to die now. And what a nice day it was. There was this, and I died in my dream. They say that you can't die in your dream, In this one, I feel like I did. Everything went black, and it was just, like the end of a movie, black, and kind of, stayed black, and then I woke up, and, but I woke up with this feeling of real peace and contentment. It's very strange. Like you would think that would be a nightmare dream. I had a nightmare dream around the same time. I had a nightmare dream that the UN blue helmets were invading the shores in San Francisco, and all these fucking stupid San Francisco voters were welcoming them, and it was just like globalist takeover. And that was shrieking in terror. And I had a dream that my stupid nurse sisters were holding their children down so soldiers could inject them with poison. It's absolute nightmare. And that was believable. But this dream of a missile flying through the air peacefully, straight, very quickly towards my face, it's like I died because the metal hit me. It was the speed of the missile. It wasn't even the explosion. It was just ponk, like being hit by a car. So I'm not really worried, And what can you do? Like I was saying to this friend of mine today that was doing this, and he was super amped up about the end of the world and World War III and fuck Trump, and he got us into this mess, and it's the same thing over again. He's just like Bush, and we don't need to do that. Fuck Israel. They can fight their own wars. And I'm like, I agree with all that, really, but honestly, what do you want me to do? You want me to? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tweet Trump. I'll tweet him directly, and I know he reads his tweets. And so I'll just say what you just said. I'll just say, hey, let Israel fight their own wars. Because he probably hasn't thought of that before. What am I going to do about it? There's nothing I can do about it. What I could put on a pink pussy hat and go into the streets with all the rest of the protesters, and I could scream and yell, and I could make a poster. I could draw a poster, and I could put a picture of Donald Trump with George Bush's face on it. That'd tell him. That'd change things. Yeah, I'll do that. Just, what am I supposed to get upset about? The end of the world has always been tonight, tomorrow. It's right here. And it never comes. It will come one day. But I have a feeling it's going to be more boring than that missile flying towards my face as I enjoy the sunset with a nice, new, pretty lady. And it's not even she was pretty. It wasn't one of those dreams. It was like, there was nothing sexual about it. There was nothing even really romantic I guess all peaceful dreams are romantic in a certain way, but not in the, you're the love of my life. No, it was just chill. Nice person. Kablam, that's the end. I don't think about death that much. I don't know. I do. I don't obsess over it. I mostly just think, what are they going to do with all my shit? Like, I got 1,000 different songs. Somebody's going to hear them. They're going to go in the trash. My accounts will all just be deleted. Isn't that crazy? You know, back in the day with analog, you used to record things, write things down on paper in books and stuff. So even if the guy, even if nobody gives a shit about you and you die, and they take your shit out in boxes, you know, even if it goes to the dump, somebody could be rooting through and they can find it. But in this digital age, no, all the shit you're writing's on Facebook and in Amazon clouds. And when you die, it just sits there until one day the servers get, it gets backed up somewhere, but nobody will ever find it. Our generation, this current crop of people it's going to be a black hole to future generations, I think. I really do. Because look how fast technology changes. I mean, come on, give me a break. Hard drives. Look at a hard drive that you filled 10 years ago. Do you even have the right cord for it? Are you even sure that if you plugged it in, it would spin up? Probably not. It's probably toast. My hard drives that are filled downstairs, they're probably all toast. And give it another 10 years, 30 years. Let's say my family expires at about 86 years old. My grandpa died at 86. My grandma died at 86. My dad died at 86. My aunt died at 86. Everybody just dies at 86. So, yeah, I've got 28 years left. You think those hard drives are going to be... You think my Facebook's going to be still up in 30 years? You know what I mean? It's just like... Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I think about with death. I don't worry about it. And honestly, with this war stuff, it's weird because when I was young, the fear of nuclear war and the fear of hurricanes and earthquakes and all that stuff, it was so great, But now it's just like when my house starts to shake because we're having a tremor, I get more excited. And not that I'm excited to die. I'm not. I'll stick around as long as I can. I love waking up. I love the birds and the pigeons and the sky. And I wake up with a lot of gratitude each day, But, so I don't want that to go away. But at the same time, it's just like, it's going to someday. And it can be this boring, long, rotting thing where you get old and your brain starts to go away and some caregiver, because I didn't make a family, I have a kid, but, she's not going to care for me. She's got her own problems, I wouldn't even ask. So, maybe I'll have a Tesla robot wiping my butt, bringing me porridge, shit like that. But whoever's running the Tesla robot, they're going to be looking through my bank accounts and siphoning it. That's just kind of there's an ugly way that life ends. I mean, even if you're my dad, his anniversary of his death was yesterday, I think, June 20th, summer solstice. Been dead for 3 years now. But he didn't go. There wasn't a lot of dignity the way he went. He ended up for the last year just crawling around the house, literally crawling to and from the toilet like a baby in a diaper. And people were horrified. Oh, you got to put him in a home. He doesn't want to be in a home. Oh, you got to get him a walker. He doesn't want to. He wants to crawl. He wants his independence. And I was like, okay. It's a legitimate way to get around. If you don't want to fall, if you're dizzy, crawling is a legitimate way to get to and from one place. Ask a dog. Ask a baby. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, that long, slow, sundowning Joe Biden thing, I mean, sure, fine, okay, whatever. But you kind of got to know that your shit's going to be pilfered. Even the people who love you, some of them are going to treat you like shit. I watched my sisters all trying to pretend like they love my dad, looking through his accounts and I don't know. I don't want to start any shit, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't care who you are. The end isn't that dignified. It's just not. People are gonna be looking through your checkbook, figuring out how much, dividing up your shit. I don't know, which is fine. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine way to go. But also a fine way to go is falling down, not being able to get back up, not being able to reach your phone, not getting some water, dehydrating, and just dying there. Earlier, the first time you fall down. Or having a missile fly out of the sky and bonk you in your little face. Or civil war, People start coming down the street. The mob comes down the street. You grab a baseball bat, they crash through your door. They take all your shit. You fight them. They conk you on the head, drag you into a room and tie you up, start torturing you. It ain't boring. It ain't boring. I kind of think about people that die in plane crashes. I was thinking about this one guy, Navid. He was a guy that didn't really like me. It was back in the I was a popular dude in San Francisco on the scene. He was this younger, good-looking guy, but I had a little bit too much attention for his liking. And so he kind of became this guy that gave off anti-Merkley vibes because some of the girls that he liked me. You know how that happens? I don't want to call it jealousy, it's just competitiveness or whatever. You have to talk shit about somebody that's getting too much. When somebody's receiving too much fanfare, I'm a little bit like this too. If somebody's getting too much fanfare, I can tend to be the equalizing force and go, that guy's not that fucking great. He sucks, So I think he was that to me. And a little raver guy, but he's a Persian guy, actually. But we had that. He always just kind of treated me that way, and I was like, you know what, Navid, I've never treated you that way. I've always been cool to you. But anyway, at one of these campouts, these raver campouts, I had my piano van out, and I opened it up, and I have this piano van. I have this van that's got sliding doors on both sides. It's a big ProMaster van, but I put a full piano in there and a sound system in there that sounds like a nightclub. Like a small nightclub. It just really is clear. It's got an 18-inch woofer, and it sounds really great. And I play my sad little songs at my piano on there, and it sounds amazing. But at this little raver camp out that they do at Sunset Camp Out, I went a couple years in a row because why not? It's camping. But I took this one year, and I was just playing some of the sad songs that I wrote, and he listened to them, and he loved them. He was just like, he came up to me after, he says, I never knew you wrote songs like that. These are fucking gorgeous. They're really good. And so there's this whole new thing where he didn't apologize for how he treated me, anything like that. But the way in which he communicated to me was as if it may as well have been an apology, because he just really went on about how much he enjoyed the songs that I played and how they touched him, And I was playing emotional music, I'm a sappy motherfucker when it comes down to it. I play songs that... The only reason why I play music and write songs is because that feeling you get, that when you're moved, your heart is moved, or your mind is moved, or even if your ass is moved, something. But anyway, so I patched things up with this Navid guy. And 2 days later, he died in a plane crash. And it was the strangest plane crash. You might have remembered it from the news. The plane fell nose first straight down out of the sky into a parking lot in LA. He was in it with his mom, who was a real estate agent. They took this little flight. It was him and his mom and a pilot. And if you look at the video, it's like a cartoon. It's like a cartoon. It's not like a plane. Planes kind of like crash down, they swerving around and they hit a treetop and then they tumble. No. This thing went straight down. They were looking directly at the ground when they hit it. Just it's like, what? It was one of those moments that was just unbelievable. Just the fact that that I just made amends with him. We had this nice little experience, and then 2 days later he's dead in the most cartoony end of life scenario. And if you knew this guy's attitude about life and the way he was, one of the reasons why I didn't like that he didn't like me is that he himself had a likable vibe. He had a vibe about him of a sweetness, a sort of a sweet kind of a vibe, But there he went, out of the sky, He had performed also at this little ravey thing as a DJ, or he was in a band. He sang a little bit too, which is why he liked my songs, because he was writing songs himself. But he had a nice weekend. I don't know if he tied up loose ends with other people, but he tied them up with me, Probably he might have been on E or something. I don't know. These raver parties, but then he's gone. He's dead. And what a fantastic way to die, really, if you think about it. Certainly, it would be better if he was still around, enjoying life and enjoying the miracles and all that stuff. But what an exciting way to go. Just like, oh shit, I've had this nice week. Everything's great. And now I'm headed straight to the ground. That's just kind of got to be a little bit thrilling. And I've thought about that before. When I get on a plane and other people are really nervous, I don't know if I'm just talking myself into it, but I keep saying this to people, that are nervous and worried about civil war. And I started saying this to people during COVID. It's just like, don't dread it. Get excited for it. And that can sound kind of psychotic. I know, and I don't mean it that way, but if you don't have a choice about something, and drama is going to come your way, you may as well not just tolerate it, but enjoy it. Squeeze every morsel out of it. And I think about that when I'm on a plane. When I'm on an airplane and I think about the prospects of it going down, I'll have this flash in my mind of it going down. And I just think of how, in that moment, what I would be thinking and how I would get excited for it and how I would prepare and how I would amp myself up for it. It's a lot of it's just a mental trick. But it feels kind of real. It feels like it's possible. And there's certain things that I've surprised myself in my life sometimes, that when shit does go down, and not always, but in certain situations when shit starts falling apart and everybody starts to panic, there have been many times in my life where I've felt this sort of weird, strange, I don't know, it's kind of related to the calm that I was explaining in that dream. Where the missile's coming for you, where it's like there's a certain calm that comes from incomprehensible odds, when things are so far against you and things look so bad that you can just go, well, new brain, different mode. and there's this relaxing kind of thing. And I feel like, I don't know, watching watching these videos of these bombs dropping and stuff in Iran and Tel Aviv. I've got a friend in Israel right now, Amy. She bugs the shit out of me. She's my friend though, but she's just been sending me videos every day. I think she's just trying to manipulate me. She works for she works for Israel. She's an ethno state weirdo. I tell her this all the time, and she knows it. But always working for the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. I'm like, oh my God, give it a fucking rest already. But she's sending me these videos and clips, and it's like, this rocket landed just a few blocks away from my house. It's scary. They're in their bomb shelter. She sends me these messages from their bomb shelter and these adorable videos of her and her kids, and they say my name and they remember when they visited me in San Francisco, and they're the most adorable kids. And obviously nobody wants them to be in the middle of a war, and but there's also this thing when I watch them on these videos and I just see them in the middle of war. There's a lot of calm. Do you remember the movie Thin Blue Line? There's this one scene in the movie where it's in Vietnam and there's enemies up on the hill, and the soldiers ducked down. I can't remember the actor, but he's ducked down and he's just waiting to be shot at or to shoot somebody else, and he sees this little leaf hanging in front of his face, and he reaches out and he touches it, and the leaves kind of just curl in. And I always love that scene, and I think that relates to this, that even when shit goes down and drama and the world's on fire, there's still beauty in there, there's still inside of that, there's still peace. You can have the peace, I don't know. I say all this shit. Watch Civil War break out, and suddenly there's this video of me crying and screaming in the street. You know what I mean? Like a baby. But I don't think I would. I just don't think I would. It's just, I think my brain just switches into a different mode. Like, oh, so this is what happens. Imagine getting your arm cut off. I've had little things. I remember one time I nipped the end of my finger with a circular saw. It just boom. Just, I was using it, and just one tooth of the saw just boom, it just nipped my finger, and it turned my finger inside out. Like the end of my finger just turned inside out. It looked like a piece of cauliflower, like a red piece of bleeding cauliflower. And the moment was so fast and it was like a buzz. It didn't have, I wouldn't call it a sharp pain. It was more like an electrocution, like a bzzz. That was a feeling in my finger. And I walked in, my dad was at my house at the time, and I walked in and I showed him my finger because it looked crazy. And he goes, whoa, what happened? Whoa, you got to get to the hospital. I go, no, I'm going to be cool. And I sat down and I just took all the little pieces of my finger. They're all connected still. I just had to shove them back into place, like line up the fingerprints, I took them and lined them up, and I got the whole thing put back together, right? Then my dad got in my ear and was like, no, you can't, you got to go to the hospital, and other people, because I fixed my finger on my own, right? I go, that's all a doctor's going to do. They're just going to put it together the same way. Anyway, I bowed to the fucking pressure. I went to this doctor. She starts taking it apart, my work, cleans it out with a saline and all this other stuff. But then when she put it back together, she put it together the wrong way. I was like, dude, excuse me, ma'am. You see that fingerprint? You put that piece in sideways. Put that piece in the fingerprint. You can see it. It should line up. It's like a puzzle. She goes, doesn't matter. It'll granulate. It all granulates. Doesn't matter. I said, what do you mean it doesn't matter? Don't tell me that putting my finger back together the wrong way is going to be no different than putting my finger back the right way. Anyway, she didn't, and I put it back together the right way, and I didn't pay her. But anyway, that's, like I said, in those moments, I mean, that's not getting my leg cut off, but I can also imagine acting that way too. Like, oh, my leg's cut off. Now what? I don't know, it sounds like I'm bragging. There's probably just as many stories of me panicking and freaking out that I'm blocking because I prefer this version, this calm, heroic version of myself. Anyway, I'm not going to freak out about the end of the world, and I don't think you need to either. Life is beautiful. The weather's beautiful. The birds aren't scared. The animals aren't scared. The sun is shining. The waves are crashing. The water's rippling. You know, life is beautiful. Even if it's the end of the world. Thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song to totally waste